I don't know if I'd say that the biggest challenge when it comes to teaching is developing a content strategy, but figuring out the right amount of content and the right level of your content is something that usually you don't get right till the second or third time that you teach a class. I know. I can't tell you how many years I'd walk into the classroom and go, gee, did I prepare enough to talk today? And what's going to happen if I run out of things? And of course, if you run out of things, might be a good idea just to end class, because if you're nobody wants to have their time wasted, particularly students, and they'll start to question, do you really know what you're doing if everybody's just sitting around doing basically nothing? So I think the one piece of advice that I like to give everybody is it always makes sense to prepare too much than not enough. So I would, whenever I was teaching, is I would come up with more content that I could ever hope that I would use. And then either prior to coming in class or while I'm teaching in the classroom, I've got sort of my top content that I really want to make sure that I cover. And then my second or third tier content that I'm only going to cover if there's time. And so I'd have topics that I'd include or pull out as the class was unfolding. And some people go, well, what do you mean by having extra content? So not just VIP courses, but any course for that matter, students love applications. They like things that are going on in the economy today, that challenges that current businesses are facing. And so if nothing else, you can talk about sort of issues in the news or stocks and their current pricing or something that's going on that you think everybody would find of interest. And these are things that you can sort of bring into the class or you can remove from the class, depending on how well things are going. And of course, the ultimate measure of how well things are going is how well you get students engaged in conversation. And there's oftentimes where I would cut things out grudgingly because they were important to me. But if you've got a great discussion going on, you really want to keep that rolling rather than stop things and bring something else in. The other big issue when it comes to content is figuring out the appropriate level, right? If it's too easy, everybody's too bored. If it's too difficult, then everybody will get frustrated. So figuring out where your students are at and sort of meeting them where they're at and having the right level of content can be tough to figure out until you've sort of taught sort of UNH students for a while. So that's why we really strongly encourage you to do a pre-class survey. The difficulty there is we find that students often misrepresent their knowledge of a particular tool or software package or content. So they like to overstate what they know. And if you just listen or pay attention to what you see in that pre-class survey, you might, think that the students are at a certain level, prepare for that level, come in, and everybody is disappointed. So it's really important. And that's why you should talk to us, and we'll help you try and figure that out to get a sense of what the right level of the material is.